Welcome to the XL Sports Network College Football Drive at 5, brought to you by the Steakhouse Restaurant in Hawkinsville. We are coming to you live from the David Venables Studios in downtown Hawkinsville. My name is Chuck Ferguson, and I'll be joined by Will Nobles, my buddy here. He'll be walking in here in just a second. On the boards, you got Ken Parks. Working the boards. Got a lot to talk about today. You can listen to us live on the XL Sports Network. That's xlsportsnetwork.net. Hit the listen live on there. You can also see us on the YouTube, on the YouTube channel, XL Sports Network. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a comment. And if you want to talk to us, we'd love to have you call into the radio show. So leave us a comment on there and let us know you want to talk to us on the show, and we'll get you on the show. Love to hear some back and forth, talk about college football. Waiting for Will to get here, but while we're waiting, we'll go through a little bit of housekeeping, I guess you could say. I'd like for you guys to check out Williams Mobile Welding. W.H. Williams runs Williams Mobile Welding, and you can catch him online at www.williamsmobileweldingllc.com. And you can hit the. You can also try him on the telephone at 478-258-4494. And you can email him at whwilliams@williamsmobilewelding.com, and he can come out to your place, where your house or your business or whatever you need to do some welding. Question was asked a few weeks ago: can he weld aluminum? Absolutely, he can. He can weld anything. He could probably weld paper if you ask him to. The guy's really good. Very punctual. He'll be there if he tells you he's going to be there. He's going to be there. He's going to be there on time. He's going to give you a great price, and he's a very, very honest person. So check out Williams Mobile Welding. That's WilliamsMobileWeldingLLC.com, and he'll do whatever you need. So we're going to talk a little bit today about some. Here he is. He's walking in now. Probably the top 25 that came out here recently. And we're going to talk about who's too high on that list, who's too low. We're going to talk about some of the what is success like for some of the teams. Well, how you doing, buddy?
Doing all right.
Man, those trains around Middle Georgia, they'll get you every time, I'm telling you.
Brother.
But we're going to talk about what does success look like for a few teams, probably about 8 or 10 teams. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the transfer report a little bit. Will, glad you make it. Glad you can make it, man.
Always glad to be in the studio. Like you said, those trains will get you. This is one of the longest ones I've seen in a while, too.
Yeah,
I'll sit there for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, Bonnie and Kathleen, when you come from there, man, sometimes they'll come across the road and they'll just sit there.
It was taking their sweet time for sure.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Well, hey, without any further ado, Will, let's talk about
let's get it.
This top 25 that you sent me. I think it was yesterday. You sent this to me. This was actually Brandon Marcello's top 25. And how you want to do this? You want to start off and you want give me your too high, too lows. You want to bounce it back and forth,
if whatever you want to do. I'm fine. Just
okay. You give me your two highs. I'll give you my two lows, and then we'll swap it. How about that?
Let's do it.
Okay. You give me your two highs.
So the reason I found this was. Like you said, Brandon Marcello's from he looked at CBS Sports. His top 30, but it's his top 25, and then 5 outstanding after that. The reason I found it is because I believe it was trending. Well, I guess trending is you can be at this time.
It's been talked about. I'll just tell you that
And I think the big reason is there's a top 25, and then there's 5. That's the top 30. Notre Dame is nowhere to be found.
Man, you stole it. That's why I want to do. That's why I want to do the two lows.
I'm gonna let you.
They're not even listed, but go ahead.
I'm gonna let you talk about it, but that's the reason that this one jumped out to me. Just kind of explaining why I picked this one. I'll let you talk about it, but that is the reason it even jumped off the screen to me.
Okay, so we'll just jump on that. Right? Since you already mentioned.
My bad. I did not mean to steal your thunder.
Yeah, my two lows. And listen, folks, when you say two lows, we don't mean two, the number two. We mean TOO, way too lows.
Oh yeah.
So. He has Missouri listed at on here at number 13, and I'm from Missouri. I think they're definitely a top 10 team this year. I really do. I think they've added some key pieces to that team. I think they got a great coach. I really do. I just think 10 years, 20 years down the road, I think we're going to look back and see that Eli Trinkowitz was a really good coach, or is a really good coach, and I might eat crow on that. If I do, so be it. Also, I think NC State. I think NC State's ranked too low. I think they had Brandon Marcella had them at number 22, I think, and man, I'm looking at them going, they may be a top 15 team. They may even be a playoff team. Will.
Don't be shocked.
I think they're going to be. I think they're going to make a run for that.
Don't be shocked if NC State wins the ACC. Don't be shocked. I claimed them like a month and a half ago. I am high on NC State.
Man, it's not going to be a 2-team show like it was last year.
Oh no,
and Florida State.
I'm telling you that I expect there to be 4 or 5 teams competing for the ACC championship.
I think Miami's going to be in the mix too.
I do too.
Yep. And then we got Notre Dame, who I think. Well, I'm just showing the top 25. But I think he's probably had him ranked number 30. Is that where he had him somewhere?
Brandon Marcello?
Yeah.
No, they are not in the top 30.
Not even in the top 30. Wow.
No.
I think Notre Dame, the addition of Riley Leonard, a lot's going to depend on how healthy he is. If
true.
If Riley Leonard stays healthy, man, with that offensive line they got, I think that defense is nasty. Well, I really do. And there's a big if. If he can stay healthy, if Riley Leonard can stay healthy, and he can improve a little bit on his passing game, which we know that needs some work.
Oh, for sure.
But man, his legs,
absolutely.
His legs. I think that his injury last year. I'm going to assume that he's going to be 100% by the time the season starts. But man, I tell you what, I think the schedule sets up for him. I think they're going to be a top 15 team. They might even be a playoff team.
Don't be shocked. Again.
I won't be shocked at all to see them in the playoffs. Those are my 3 too lows, and we can talk about others if you want. But I'm going to turn it back over to you.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe Notre Dame also got LSU's offensive coordinator last year.
Yeah,
so
I think you did. I think you're right about that.
I had Riley Leonard as a dark horse last year, so we'll see what he can do with the OC that just made Jaden Daniels a Heisman winner.
What would have happened if he stayed? I mean, we don't know obviously, but what would have happened if that guy stayed healthy? I don't know that his arm would have put him in that mix for the Heisman Trophy. I just think
I don't think it would have.
Yeah,
no.
I think that Jaden Daniels just. I mean, that guy. He was it, but anyway, go ahead. I'll let you take it over.
You did your 2 lows. I have a couple more I want to add to that one just personally. Iowa sitting at 20.
I saw that.
That's disrespectful. Do you know what
well, it's not because they can't score anything, Will. And they have they done anything to improve that offense this year?
I mean, they're getting an actual quarterback back there. Granted, he was their quarterback when they got absolutely wiped by Penn State. I'll give you that. I'll admit that. Do you remember what their record was last year?
They were. I think they had 10 wins last year, didn't they?
They did 10 have 3 wins. If I'm not mistaken, yes. Iowa went 10-3.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
10-4 because they lost.
That's right. They lost their conference championship.
Well, I was going to say they lost their bowl game to Tennessee, but
yeah, they were 10-2 going into the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lost the last 2 games of the year. Here,
10-2. One of those losses was to Penn State, and I mean. They lost 31-0. You can't say that one player would have made a difference there.
No.
Then they lost to Minnesota 12-10.
Yeah.
You think a halfway decent quarterback can't win them that game?
Yeah.
So with Deacon Hill's in the portal, by the way, Lord help him. I don't know who's going to pick him up. But they had a middle school janitor playing quarterback, and they won 10 games.
Yeah. Well, their defense outscored the offense, I believe, last year.
For a large portion of yeah.
And we talked about the punter. Hey, we talked about the punter. You want to talk about that? The most valuable player
that was hilarious.
And he got drafted.
We looked it up last week. What was it? I think he punted for 1,000 more yards than the team gained, something like that. I'm
crazy.
I said I wanted to say how many games he outpunted the offense in. I'm pretty sure
7.
It was every single one.
I want to say it was 7 games.
It may have been every single one. There was one game he punted for over 500 yards. Stupid.
See, what that shows is he's a great punter, but it also shows they got a terrible offense.
Absolutely.
You're punting that much, that's terrible offense.
Absolutely. So, again, getting rid of Brian Ferentz and then getting a healthy Cade McNamara back. I don't know how good he's going to be, but he had a halfway decent 2021 season at Michigan. So, if Iowa gets 2021 Cade McNamara, I think they can have a real good run. Again, last year they won 10 games on the strength of the defense alone, so they're always a scary team. For me, Louisville at 27, he had them at. I don't understand why. They were a couple of plays away from having a really good finish to the season last year. I mean, they got into a slugfest with Florida State, and I will defend Florida State. They did not have their starting quarterback. Their defense won that game for them, did a great job. But, I mean, Louisville was really good last year, and I think they're going to be better this year. They are losing their running back in Jawar Jordan, but I think they're getting an upgraded seamless transition here. I think they're getting an upgraded quarterback because I've said his name over the years and never got it right. It's Tyler. He came from Oregon, and then Oregon, Texas Tech, and now he's at Louisville. It's Tyler. His last name is Shough. I finally found out it is pronounced Shuck. Why? I don't know, but it's Shuck. So Tyler Shuck. I watched a few highlights from the spring game from Louisville. He's got an arm. He can throw it. I think he probably still needs to get set under that system some, but I love Jeff Brom, man. He is a great head coach.
No doubt about that.
Like I said, I think he's going to be one of those. They're going to be one of those teams competing for that conference championship next year too. So Iowa and Louisville too low. No hate here, I promise. But Nebraska and Virginia Tech for me were just a little too high. They had Nebraska at 25. We talk about second year of a Matt Rule rebuild is always better. But have they done anything to make you think they're going to be better than Louisville? They're 2 spots ahead of them. I just don't know why they're the 25 in this list, but that's fine. And then Virginia Tech. I love what Brent Pry's done. I love Kyron Drones, man. He looked phenomenal for portions of last year. But again, I don't know that they are in that same realm because that's 1 spot below Louisville. I don't know that they're that ready to be that ranked that high. I'm pretty sure they finished 7-6 last year, so we will see. But those are my two my 2 lows and my 2 highs. Again, no Notre Dame. I will say there's one that I kind of had real beef with. We all know I've been kind of unofficially starting a feud with Ole Miss. Can you give me one reason why they should be ranked above Texas?
No, I cannot. I cannot give you one reason.
I know this
other than whoever, Brandon Marcello probably looked at that addition to that defense and saw Walter Nolan and some other pieces come in. And last year, that defense was, I mean, to say it was atrocious, maybe a push, but it was terrible.
It was not good.
I mean, they couldn't stop. I mean, look what happened when they played LSU. There were, 180 points scored in that game.
That game was disgusting.
It was terrible. So but I think that if you can keep that. I mean, they got Jackson Dart back. They lost the running back, Quinshon Junkins to Ohio State. But I think maybe Baby Kiff. I think he has an ability to plug and play most running backs in his system. So that may not be much of a problem there. I do think they're ranked a little too high though in this poll. I said in this poll there was 3 that I had ranked a little too high. Ole Miss is one of them. I think they'll probably be somewhere between 6 and 10, maybe closer to 10.
Well, just for reference, I pulled 2 other polls. I had Joel Klatz and Dennis Dodd. They had Ole Miss at 5 and 6 respectively.
Yeah.
So, people are high on Ole Miss.
Right.
I'm not people.
Yeah, I don't think they should be ranked. Dennis Dodd has got Ole Miss number 6 and Texas number 4.
Yeah.
And I think that's
where
probably,
they should be.
Yeah, and he's got Alabama in between them there, and I don't know about that.
They are one of the biggest wild cards to me this year. I don't know what that team's going to look like.
And you know what? And here is Alabama. Let me see. What is
he's got him 6.
Marcello has him, huh?
Marcello's got him 6.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, he does have him 6. So, and my other two highs were Michigan. I think that Brandon Marcello put them there because of what they did this past season. But there's just so much off of that team they lost this year.
Boy,
I mean, you look at that. They lost 13 players and all the coaching staff. Pretty much. So that and they're going to be. And hey, I'm telling you something right now. That league, that conference, just got really tough. The addition of Oregon, just the addition of Oregon in
Big Ten's going to be good.
Yeah. Who was that?
I said the Big Ten's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I think Penn State's going to be a tougher route for them.
Yeah, well, okay.
We'll see.
You can hop on the Penn State bandwagon if you want to. They've burned me one too many times. I'm off them.
Okay. Also, USC.
That was the last one I wanted to touch on. USC. Read my mind.
Oh my goodness, man. Well, he's got where's he got USC ranked at?
Marcelo, he's got him at 8.
Yeah, that's
what I wrote down was USC at 8 is optimistic.
So here's the here's the thing. Now, when we talked about last couple of years, we're gonna take a break here in just a minute. I'm gonna get this out real quick.
You're good.
All right. We have talked about last couple of years, top 25 teams in the preseason that will not be in the same zip code at the end of the year. And there's always about 10 or 12 teams that are preseason top 10 that are outside the top 25. USC is a lot of times one of those teams. And I think this year's going to be no exception.
I would not be shocked if this year that, like you said, there's been a top 10 team that's finished outside the top 10 or unranked. I think every year since like 2013, except for one. I would not be shocked if this upcoming year is Ole Miss. Yeah. But again, that's just me being a hater.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a 3-minute break. You're listening to XL Sports Network College Football Drive at 5, brought to you by the Steakhouse Restaurant in Hawkinsville. And we are coming to you live from the Dave Venables Studios in downtown Hawkinsville. You guys stay tuned. Back in 3 minutes. Welcome back to the XL Sports Network College Football Drive at 5, brought to you by the Steakhouse Restaurant in Hawkinsville, where I had dinner last Thursday, Will.
How was it?
Oh, my goodness. It was so good, Will. I'm going again tonight.
Ooh, all right. How about that?
Tonight. Hey, man, listen. They had, and I'm a sucker for fried shrimp, man. They had these giant, huge fried shrimp, and I have, I'm not going to tell you how many I had.
An irresponsible amount.
I had too many of them to talk about, and I'm going to go back again tonight and have some more of them.
Man, that sounds good.
Yeah, they were so good. I'm telling you, those guys over there, man. And you know, I got there, and Eddie was there. Eddie McDaniel, who does football with us on Friday nights and also does the Saturday morning quarterback. So I was able to sit there and talk to Eddie and his wife, Kathy, and then Bruce came in, and we just had a good old time there. Had a little meeting after Eddie left. But, yeah, man, it was great. Great folks down there. You guys head on down to the steakhouse. Let Lewis and his gang take care of you. They will absolutely take care of you. If you guys, if you crave, like I do, if you crave Thanksgiving during the year, every Sunday is Thanksgiving at the steakhouse. I think on Thursday nights they have seafood because that's what they had last Thursday night. And I'm going to check it out again tonight and see if that's I think that's every Thursday night. I think I heard a commercial on that. No, not again. Anyway, they got the best fried chicken around. If you guys want a good steak, they have great steak there as well. That's a steakhouse restaurant in Hawkinsville on the 341 bypass. All right, Will, you had something else you want to talk about with the highs and lows of Brandon Marcello's top 30. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple more comments. We were talking about USC a little bit there. He has him at 8. Again, I was looking at a couple other polls, and I didn't specifically pick these other two other than they were the next two that popped up in my Instagram feed. Joel Klatt has USC right at, I believe that's 15. Yes. You want to know where Dennis Dodd has him?
Who is it?
USC.
Who?
They are not in his top 25.
Really?
So I think I agree with that kind of range there. We have them at number 8, number 15, and unranked. I think they're going to be the hardest team to judge, I guess, preseason because that entire offense, everyone's gone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Receivers, running back, quarterback, everyone's gone.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be interesting because if there's anybody who can get it right, it's Lincoln Riley because I think he's a great OC, and I think he brought in a good DC from across town. And man, if you look at it, I know the game's not played on paper, but they brought in a bunch of good defensive guys in the portal.
The thing about that is, and maybe I'm just biased against USC. I don't know, but I don't want to. Baseball. You go back and look at baseball. You look at some teams that put together their whole 1 through 9 lineup is all stars and Hall of Famers, and they don't even make the playoffs one year. And you got a team like the 98. I think it was 98 Seattle Mariners. One of the 98 or 99 Seattle Mariners who they just lost Ken Griffey Jr., Randy Johnson, and Alex Rodriguez. And they set the major league record for the amount of wins. What I'm getting at, sometimes is you bring in all these superstars or all these great players, and the chemistry's not there.
Absolutely.
And you played team sports before too. Well, you played football, and man, chemistry is huge, especially in football. You gotta be able to have chemistry. So I'm not doubting based on that, but man, it's not always the case where you bring in a bunch of guys and. And granted, there is an upgrade there at DC. It has to be. They couldn't tackle last 2 years, well, they could not tackle.
It was abysmal.
It looked terrible.
I think if they had just known how to tackle, they'd have won probably 4 more.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
They would have beat Tulane in the Cotton Bowl, that's for sure.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. So yeah, exactly. They couldn't tackle that game at all. Anyway, okay. So I guess listen. Let's put. Let me look at this over again.
Last little note I had here. It's a team that I think has got just a little bit of momentum, but I have kind of stayed put. I have not seen them on anybody's top 25. I guess Brock Vandergrift's not going to be that much of a difference maker.
We'll see.
Nobody believes in Kentucky, rightfully so. I don't think they're going to do anything above 8-4, 7-5. That is Stoops' ceiling.
They got a great leader on the defensive side of the ball too. You know that.
Yeah, sure, whatever. If he can stay healthy, and not get too
broke
arrogant.
his arm. That was a freak play. I mean,
yeah. But then, like I said, I think he got full of himself too much, and that's why he fell off how he did.
maybe.
But
So
we
I
will
want to
see.
just make one more comment about Brandon Marcello's top 30 here. If you look at this, and let's just suppose this is his pick for the playoff, right? He is picking.
I think right now that's what he was saying it would be. Yeah.
Right. So he is picking Florida State to win their conference.
Yep.
And not get a bye, and they would travel to looks like Texas.
Well, no, they would, because if this is how it
that's
ended
true.
up,
It's a top.
yeah,
four.
they would get bumped up to. I don't know how that would work, but I guess they would have to be the number 3 team.
Well, let's see. You have the Ohio State as
Because
the
everybody ahead of them is SEC or Big Ten,
Let's see.
except for Utah. So they'd be number 4. They'd be the 4 seed.
Yeah, I guess. Wow.
Yep. And
ranked 12 in the country and have a bye. Wow.
And the number 11 LSU would get left out because Liberty jumps from 30 up to 11 or 10 or 12, however that works. So.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So, but my point is, looking at this, you got the highest ranked ACC team on this is 12, just sitting on the fringe of the playoff. You know?
Yeah, and I've seen the other 2 that I had. Joel Klatt had him at 12 as well, and then Dennis Dodd had him at 20. I think that's severe disrespect to Florida State.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to fall off that much. I don't know if they'll fall off at all. I think they're still going to have a really good team. They cleaned up in the portal.
They did, and I think who they're going to miss more than anybody. Well, obviously Jordan Travis. I mean, they're going to miss that guy. I mean, DJ is not going to be Jordan Travis. Healthy Jordan Travis is one of the best players in the country.
I think DJ. I said it before, and I've been thinking about it a lot, man. A couple weeks ago, when I said that DJ would be better than Jordan Travis, he can be, and I think he might be. We'll see.
He may have a higher ceiling, but I don't know, man. That leadership that Jordan Travis had.
100%. The intangibles.
But one player I think that they're going to miss more than anybody else is Keon Coleman.
100%. And that's one of the reasons that I feel comfortable saying what I said is because if you go back and look at Jordan Travis last year, he did not play poorly, but I think Keon Coleman helped him out a lot.
There is no doubt, man.
If you go back and watch
those contested throws, you go, why are you throwing that ball right there? Oh, okay, that's fine.
If you go back and watch a lot of his big plays, big touchdowns, it was like, oh, look, he just has one of the best receivers in the country he's throwing to. I'm not bashing Jordan Travis, but Keon Coleman was a real deal.
Remember when JT Daniels came to Georgia that first summer before he even played, and they were asking him about throwing the ball to people like George Pickens, and he said, why would you bring that guy in here if you're not going to throw the ball?
Absolutely.
Throw it up there and let him go make a play.
Absolutely.
And I was like, and I think he kind of stepped on some toes when he said that. But anyway, I kind of liked it. I got kind of excited about that. But then Stetson took over next year. All this history after that. All right, Will. So we talked about the Brandon Marcello's top 30 and the rest. So we will revisit those rankings, preseason rankings at a later time.
Let's do it.
But now let's transition over to what means success.
Let's do it.
We're going to be on this side of the break and then on the next side of the break on this one right here. So this is going to take a little while, but I want you to go ahead and start it off. You brought this up. I want you to go ahead and introduce this topic and see. Let's talk about it.
Well, if you want to, I got a little nugget we can talk about before the break.
Let's do that.
So I don't know if anybody's keeping track of something called the transfer portal.
Yep.
But that's been kind of dominating the spring cycle here for the past few weeks. I hate being inaccurate, so if this is not correct, my deepest apologies, but I double-checked it today, and to the best of my knowledge, looking at 24/7 Sports, there are 4 teams in the entire 134, including the new Kennesaw State Go Owls hooty hoo baby.
That's where you go.
4 teams out of 134 that have taken in 0 transfers. That is Army, Navy, Air Force, the service academies, who it works differently there.
Yeah, they are not allowed to. Yeah, go ahead.
And Clemson. Not a 1.
Well,
Iowa has 2.
Yeah.
Iowa's not known for transfers.
That's
They
funny.
have 2.
I bet you those two have to be on offense.
0.
I hope those two are on offense.
If I'm not mistaken, one of them is a long snapper, which would be just the most Iowa thing ever, and that's funny. But I'll double check that.
Well, they got to have a good punter.
I will double check
good punting
that real
team.
quick.
They have a good special teams there.
Well, I heard a rumor they were running the spread offense in the spring game, but you never know what you'll see from them.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think that's interesting. Again, I don't think that it.
While you're looking that up,
Yeah,
service academies obviously can't take on.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Right?
military commitment,
Right, exactly.
and then you play.
And you can't come in. Yeah, you can't come in halfway through your old. You just can't do that.
Yeah.
Clemson, on the other hand, is that roster so good that they don't need transfers?
Well, here's the thing. We've kind of talked about Dabo and kind of how he might be going by the wayside if he can't embrace the portal. And I don't think.
I mean, I love the guy. I think he's great. I would love to play for that guy.
I don't think it's the fact that you need to bring in talent from the portal to win, because we've said it before. You can't just snap your fingers and make the guys have chemistry. USC's like, oh, we'll bring in the best players and make them work. I have my reservations about Ole Miss doing that. We've seen Colorado bring in 50 people in the portal, whatever it may be. But you can't lose people. You can't lose talent and then bring nothing else in. Like we said, most people use the portal and they recruit, and without doing one, you're just having one hand tied behind your back in a fist fight, and that's just not how you win.
My question is that roster so good that they don't need any transfers?
I don't think so.
Okay, you're right.
Because I mean, if you look at them, they started 4-4 last year.
2021 Georgia Bulldogs, the 2022 draft broke the NFL record for the most players from one team. How many transfers did they take in the 2022 season, Georgia?
Ooh, I don't remember. I think it was like 2.
It was like 0.
0?
Zero.
Might have been.
They took none. They took 0. But that roster, obviously, as it turned out, that roster was good enough they didn't have to. Now,
they got one.
Huh?
They had one.
No,
Joseph Daniels Jr.
Who?
Cornerback. Exactly. There you go. Joseph Daniels Jr.
I thought they had none.
In 2022?
Yeah.
They said they had 1. 2021 they had 3.
Yeah.
2023 they had 4. So 2021 they had 1.
Well, okay. That's news. I didn't know they had any. So
I'm sorry, 2022 they had 1.
Yeah, my bad on that.
Okay, I don't think he played very much, but they had 1.
Joseph Daniels. Okay. Maybe he was a scout team player.
Probably.
All right. So, hey, listen. If he's listening out there, man, I'm not trying to pick on you. I've never heard of you. We are going to take another break. You are listening to the XL Sports Network College Football Drive at 5. Yeah, let's get it on with that music. I like it, Ken. I like it. Welcome back to the XL Sports Network College Football Drive at 5, brought to you by the Steakhouse Restaurant in Hawkinsville. We're going to talk now about what does success look like, and we've got about 10 teams, 8 or 10 teams here, Will. We can add some more if we want to, if we get down towards the end of the show and we need to talk about some more we can, but I'm going to let you introduce that subject as well. And turn it right over to you. Go ahead, Will.
Let's do it. Okay, so success looks different for everybody. I think for Vanderbilt, success is, hitting the over on your win total, because they have
2.5?
3 games. It's disrespectful. They have 2.5, and they have 3 games that is like, yeah, they should win that game. So Vegas does not like Vanderbilt very much, I guess. So
hey, they just got swept in baseball by the Dogs.
Yeah, take that, Commodores.
I love it.
Anyhow, so success looks different for each team. I know each fan base is like championship or bust, but that's not true for everybody.
Right.
I think that's true for probably a handful of teams, and everyone else just wants to be better than last year. So we'll start with the defending national champions.
You want to go through these, like, you define what success looks like for them, and then I'll do it, and then we'll just bounce it off that way?
Absolutely. That sounds good to me.
Cool. Go ahead.
Starting with the defending national champions, the Michigan Wolverines. Man, when you lose what they lost, again, you cannot expect to repeat. It's hard enough to repeat. It's even harder when you lose most of your offense and all your coaching staff.
Yeah.
That defense is still going to be good.
And they were great last year. Best defense in the country.
Oh, that start to finish, yes, they were the best defense in the country for sure. But again, it's kind of weird too. Like I said, since they won last year, I think expectations dropped this year because it is so hard to repeat. And out of everything they lost, no one's going to be like, "Oh, Michigan didn't win the national championship again this year. They're terrible." Honestly, I think 8 or 9 wins is a good season for them. Haven't done a deep look at their schedule. I'll pull it up really quickly. But I think that would be a good season for them, especially with Sharon Moore now as your full-time guy. So let's see. Just looking at it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think they got 7 wins for sure, and then a few tough games. So if they get to 8 or 9 wins, I think that's a really good season for Michigan, especially if they win a home game against Oregon or Texas. If they win either one of those games, that's going to be a good year for them.
So I got Michigan down, their success, and this is from, I'm going to say from my perspective on these.
Okay.
Not necessarily, like you said, the fans' perspective is, national championship or nothing, for, everybody, Ole Miss, come on, really. So for Michigan this year, I think success to them means making the playoff, and that's probably about what you were looking at, 8 or 9 wins. I think if Michigan has 9 wins, if they go 9-3 this year, they might squeak into the playoff there.
Depends on who those losses are against, but I would agree. I mean, you can't lose to Fresno State week 1 and then make it, but
no, I don't think they're going to do that.
I don't think so either.
So I think that success for Michigan this year is they make the college football playoff.
Okay.
I don't think that if you're a fan and you look at your team and go, okay, this is what we lost, you can't have a realistic expectation that they're going to beat Ohio State again, and because that's going to be played in Columbus at the Horseshoe. So, and Ohio State is definitely a better roster right now than Michigan is. They're definitely a better coaching staff than Michigan has right now, or at least more proven, I would say, and
more of a known quantity, would you say?
Right, yeah. But I don't think you have the expectation to win the conference championship or even a national championship or even, make it into the top 4 or something, So
it's not to say it can't happen, but it's not the expectation.
Absolutely. They're still Michigan. They're still going to have a great, like you said, they're going to have a great defense. Are they going to have an elite defense this year? I don't know about that. I think they're going to be able to field. That defense is going to be able to field longer than one last year. So that may have some effect on their the way they play. So, but yeah, I think the playoff is success for Michigan.
Absolutely, I agree. If they do make it in the playoff, especially as like a 10 or 11 seed, I definitely think that's a good year for them. Yeah. Next, we've got Ohio State talking about championship or bust. Man, Ohio State is a weird team as far as my how I define success for them. Because for them to have a successful season, and I think Ohio State fans are going to agree with me on this one, for them to have a successful season next year, they're going to have to do 3 things they have not done in a while. 1, beat Michigan.
That's right, beat Michigan.
That's first of all, and they have not done that in 3 years. Yeah. This is the year to do it because Michigan's down. Again, all the things we just talked about with Michigan. If Ohio State can't beat them this year at home,
oh man,
Ryan Day doesn't make it off the field with his job. No. I promise you that.
They may not make it out of Columbus alive either.
And given that the playoff is expanding, I hope that I'm wrong. But I'm afraid that conference championships may kind of lose their luster a little bit. Yeah. Now, everybody's going to want that first-round bye, so that may motivate them more than I'm anticipating it will. But there's not that pressure. Oh, you got to win the game. Like Georgia this year. They lost it, they were out. That was a quasi-playoff game. But they have to at least, if they don't win the Big Ten, they have to at least make it back there. Because they haven't in the past 3 years because they've lost to Michigan. So you got to beat Michigan, make it back, at least make it to the Big Ten Conference Championship game. And then, that the way they break through is winning the national championship. They are one of the few teams who I think that is their ceiling, and anything less than that is a unsuccessful season.
I absolutely 100% agree with that. Right now they're Dennis Dodd had Georgia ranked preseason number 1. And, he even said there's a temptation to put Ohio State there.
Joel Platt did it.
Yeah, you look at, and hey, I don't have a problem with that.
I don't either. Right now?
I really would like to see that. I really, to be honest with you, as a Georgia fan, put Texas ahead of Georgia. Well, that's fine with me. I don't care. But I think that you look at their roster. You look at what they just added, and I say what they just added. That freshman Jeremiah Smith,
boy,
is going to be a problem,
boy,
from day one. Now I said this 3 years ago.
Well, I guess if they can have somebody who can throw them the football.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Who is it going to be? Who's it going to be?
Depending on what Will Howard does, they might be begging for Kyle McCord to come back here.
They got more stars sitting behind Will Howard than they can shake a stick at, but are they going to be ready to play? I don't know.
From what I saw in the spring game, Will Howard's their best option.
Yeah, well, we'll see. You may be right about that. I said 3 years ago at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, about 2 hours before kickoff, for that Georgia-Clemson game, that the world was about to find out who Brock Bowers is.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, the world's about to find out who Jeremiah Smith is.
I don't think he's hidden, though. He was the number one overall recruit pretty much, so.
Well,
I don't think he's going to sneak up on anybody.
No, but my point is, I think he's going to dominate. Like, I think he's going to dominate in the same respect that Brock Bowers and that Marvin Harrison Jr. has done there. I'm telling you, I think the guy's going to be. He might have 15 touchdowns this year. So I was really hoping he would come to Athens, but Ohio State, I guess, dished out more NIL than Kirby would decide to do. But I think that Ohio State has the ceiling of being a national champion this year. I don't think that anybody with any reasonable expectation would have anything less than that.
I agree.
I think that they're going to beat Michigan. Like I said before, that game is going to be played in the Horseshoe. I think they're going to take out some aggressions on them for the last 3 years.
We'll see.
I think that I wouldn't want to be a Michigan fan going down there to play in Columbus this year. And the only thing that really is going to be, the biggest thing's going to be interesting this year is when they go to Eugene. That's going to be
that's going to be hopping.
It's going to be fun. I cannot wait to see that game. There's a few games this year that I cannot.
That
wait
one's
to
circled
see.
for me for sure.
That's going to be fun right there. And I think there's going to be a little revenge on their plate too, because of what happened a couple years ago when Oregon beat them. So I'm not going to call it who I think's going to win that, but Ohio State less than national championship this year is not going to be successful. So that's what I got to say about that.
I agree, and apparently they're going to have a freshman Biletnikoff winner. All right.
May very well be.
Next one we got is Penn State. Man, they just been the Big Ten's little brother for so long now. For so long. For me, it's cut.
Little brother.
It's simple. Playoffs. Anything shy of the playoffs is a failure. I'm not expecting you to beat Ohio State. I'm not expecting you to play in the Big Ten championship game. I don't expect that from you. I don't expect you to have a better season than Oregon, which you should because of the first time they're in the conference. But, man, make the playoffs. Anything shy of that is a failure. You've been knocking on the door for this long, and if you fall flat the first time you have a legitimate chance to make it, it's a failure.
I agree with that. What I said was what means success for Penn State was a conference championship game, not being conference champions, but being that top two in the Big Ten and playing for a conference championship. That I think that this year for me, I'll guarantee you ask James Franklin, he will say, no man, hey, national championship. But again, I don't think that. I think if Penn State went 14-2 this year, or 13-2 this year, and didn't make it to the championship, but they won the Big Ten, I think they would say that's a successful season. Most people would. Drew Aller, man, oh my goodness, that guy right there, I think his ceiling is off the charts. But can he put it together and be that quarterback that everybody thought he was going to be coming out of high school? So we'll see. Conference championship game is what means success for Penn State, in my estimation. Ken, we for break? Okay, we got to take another break. You listen to the XL Sports Network College Football Drive at 5. Hey, there we go. Welcome back to the XL Sports Network College Football Drive at 5, brought to you by the Steakhouse Restaurant in Hawkinsville. We're coming to you live from the David Venable Studios in downtown Hawkinsville. If you guys need any kind of legal advice, man, I'm telling you, he's good. Good guy. His office is right straight across the hallway from us, and it was open when we came in today. I don't know if he's in or not. But Mr. Venables is a great resource if you need him. All right, Will. So we got about, looks like about 11 minutes left in the show. Let's go ahead and knock some more of these out. I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Next team we got is USC. Again, I think they're a really interesting team in terms of expectations this upcoming season.
Just go to a bowl game.
Do it.
Just go to a bowl game.
Losing Caleb Williams and moving to a much tougher conference. For me, my answer was it depends. I have two things that I will say will make me believe they had a more successful season. Last year they went 7-5, and their defense sucked. Go better than 7-5, and have a better defense. I will say that is a successful season, and also prove that Miller Moss playing in the bowl game wasn't just a flash in the pan. Prove that he's actually a sustainable quarterback that can play in the Big Ten. And again, like I said about the defense, like I said, staff changes and portal targets make me believe that defense is going to be better. It can't be. Well, first of all, it can't be worse, but it can't be the same. It has to be better. So better defense and a better record, and that's a successful season for USC in my book.
So Caleb Williams was arguably the best player in the country last year. I mean, he got the, he didn't win the Heisman, but I mean, if you look, he didn't have a very good supporting cast on the entire team. That defense. I mean, you have a decent defense in there, you're going to win more than 7 games. But the guy's a player, man. I don't necessarily agree with some of the stuff he does, some of the stuff he says, off-field stuff, or painting the fingernails and all the other stuff, But my goodness, man, he is a player. And Miller Moss, is he going to be a better player? I don't know. We're going to see. But I don't think that you only get 7 wins out of Caleb Williams, and I don't think that I don't think that. My success for them is 8 wins. 8 wins. So, I mean, to win one more game with arguably less talented quarterback I think is going to be. I mean, that's about as high as I can see them. 8 wins. That will be successful to me. I don't think it's going to make a playoff either. By the way,
it's going to be fun because they got a bunch of good games. They got LSU to open with, and LSU's already a 6.5-point favorite. They got Michigan on the road. They got Penn State coming to town. Then they have Washington and Notre Dame they play too. So it's going to be fun to watch USC play in the Big Ten this year. I'm really looking forward to it.
Play LSU in Vegas. Is that where they play LSU? Yeah, that's going to be a good game too.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Week 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the Sunday night game too. Yeah. Okay. Then we got Alabama. This is a tough one. See, because
I don't know, man.
I'm trying to view this objectively, and I think everyone just expects there to be a seamless transition from from Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer, and just that they're going to pick up right where they left off last season. I just don't see it happening. Bama fans, don't hate me, and if you do, I really don't care. 8 or 9 wins. I think that's a successful season. And with that, given that you are Alabama and the bias that the media has, you'll probably still make the playoff anyway.
Yeah.
So 8 or 9 wins, and you have to still be, proving that you haven't fallen off. Still got to be competitive, if not beating Ole Miss, A&M, the guys like that. Oh, you can't lose to Auburn. You can't lose to Auburn.
No.
Not in Tuscaloosa.
Especially in Tuscaloosa.
Not in Tuscaloosa. Not in Kalen DeBoer's first year. You cannot lose to Auburn.
Yeah.
So again, 8 or 9 wins, beating Auburn, and man, I guess everyone else has just forgotten that offensive line sucked last year, and I don't know that it's gotten better. You can't prove to me that it has.
They got a transfer came in.
Oh, they did? Yeah, where he come from?
Proctor.
Yeah.
He came in from Iowa.
Exactly. And that's why you can't say they've gotten better, because they had him last year, and he's coming back. I think everyone has forgotten how broken that offensive line was, and I don't have any proof it's gotten better. So, again, 8 or 9 wins, beat Auburn, successful season for Alabama.
I think success for Alabama, in my estimation, I agree with everything you said, but I think making the conference championship game is going to be a success to them. I think anything less than that is probably not a successful season. and that's just because the Alabama expectation is there. And I agree with you. There's a lot of people who don't think that there's going to be much of a. It's going to be seamless. It's not going to be seamless. It's going to be a very much different team. Very much different. Now, I will say this: Kalen DeBoer is probably a lot better coach than people give him credit for.
I agree.
I think that he has won at every single place he's ever been, and competed for championships at every single place he's been. So I think, and you go back and look at Washington. What the year before he came to Washington, they were 4-8, I believe. And he turned him into a national championship contender, playing for the national championship 2 years later. So, a lot of that had to do with who we brought in. But he's doing the same thing here. He's bringing in some guys here, but it's a different league. It's a whole different league for him, and he has been successful everywhere he's been. But man, this is it. It's the top of the sport right here. So you're gonna have to win here. But a conference championship game to me will be success for Alabama, and man, they do have a tough schedule too. So go ahead.
Last note on Bama. Kirby's first year at Georgia, he went 7-5 and lost to Vanderbilt. You think Kalen DeBoer can't drop one?
He lost to Vanderbilt, I think, and Kentucky. Didn't he lose to Vanderbilt and Kentucky the same year?
You think
Georgia Tech?
You think Kalen DeBoer can't drop one he's not supposed to?
Yeah.
I think they're going to play 3 or 4 teams better than them, and then dropping one you're not supposed to. I think that'll happen. Again, I just don't understand they're going to be just as good as they have been. No, that team has not been Alabama. That team has been Nick Saban for the better part of 17 years.
The third Saturday in October is going to be fun to watch.
It sure is. It sure is. Next team we got is Texas A&M. I was going to say that the success for them this year would beat Alabama, but they don't play them.
Well, that would be successful because that means they would play them in the postseason somewhere.
Oh, that'd be wow. Can you imagine an A&M Bama SEC championship game? That'd be crazy. So, like I said, for them to 8 or 9 wins, I think they have to be week 1. Right now, it's a coin flip against Notre Dame. They got to be competitive, if not beat Notre Dame, Missouri, LSU, all in my book. And that last game of the season, that's the one I'm looking at it for Texas A&M. When is the last time Texas and Texas A&M played?
It's been a minute, and I'm telling you, man, that is one of the rivalries that I am so glad that's coming back because that was one of the fiercest rivalries in the nation when it stopped.
Well, and that's why I'm looking it up. The rivalry has not happened I think it was when A&M left the conference. So the last time they played was 2011.
Yeah.
Haven't played them in 13-ish years.
Yeah.
And
they hate each other.
It's their first
I love it.
First year in the conference.
Yeah.
You got a new coach, Mike Elko, because Jimbo was the problem. If you don't beat Texas, you at least have to be competitive. You cannot let them wipe you off the floor. You can't let it happen. That's a new rivalry. I'm glad it's back. You have to, if not win that game, play them real tough.
All right. Quickly, I say conference championship game, just like Alabama. That's their success. I don't think anything more than that really is a reasonable expectation. First year with Mike Elko. I'm not saying they can't get there eventually. I just don't think it's going to be this year. So playing for a conference championship game, I think, will be success to A&M. And let's try to hit these guys. They're the last 4 I want to see.
All right, let's get to it. Ole Miss, you all know my feelings on them, but I'm trying to separate for a second here. My expectations for them, or what I think of them, should not, I guess, determine what is successful for them. So for them, SEC championship game and make the playoff. And I think you got to win a playoff game, especially with all the hype that's surrounding them. So I may not think they can do it, but for that team to have success this year, they got to make and possibly win the SEC because they've never made that game. Never. One of the 4 teams that have never made it.
They've never played for this.
Never played in the SEC championship game. And then after coming off this offseason hype, you got to at least make it. Then obviously make the playoff. And I think to have full success, especially if you don't win the SEC, you got to win a playoff game.
I think in 2002, but it may have been Arkansas and Georgia that played that game.
Nope, looked it up. They're one of the 4 teams currently that have not made it. Kentucky, Ole Miss, A&M, and Vanderbilt.
Okay. So my success for Ole Miss is making a playoff. I don't necessarily think they're going to play for or win the SEC, but certainly making a playoff be a successful season. Next, go ahead.
Texas, they got to host a playoff game. I mean, anything besides making the Natty is a step back from last year. But I know they have an extra game they got to play too. So I say they got to at least host a playoff game. And if they don't win the SEC again, they got to make it to the game.
For me, I said Texas. For them to meet for success for them, they got to win the conference championship, and they got to win the national championship, or at least play for the national championship.
Texas is back.
You know what? And hey, with what they have and what they just brought in, Isaiah Bond's going to be huge for them.
Oh, I agree.
You know, and you know they got the quarterback. They got the best quarterback room in the country. So everybody says. But go ahead. Next.
Yeah, I expect very little drop off for Texas. Clemson, you got to get back to the ACC championship game. At least get back. You need to win it, but you at least got to get back. And then win a playoff game, or else people are going to start talking how they did this year. You got to make the conference championship, if not win it, and then win a playoff game.
I think the last two are the same for me. I think conference championships wins for Clemson and for the Florida State's their next one. I think they both success this year means conference championship for both of them, which means a first round bye. But I think NC State's going to have something to do with all that.
Oh yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then FSU. I mean, after the way the season ended, you have to repeat as a conference championship. You have to. Which will get you a top 4 seed, and you know the way it's going to fall, you cannot fall lower than 3. You have to be at least a top 3 seed because Big Ten and SEC are likely going to be above you, and then you got to win at least one playoff game. You can't talk all that trash about we should have been in last year and then lose your very first playoff game. You make it in this year. You got to win at least one playoff game.
And what does Keon Coleman say? That's Georgia's fault they didn't play. Oh come on, man! You got to be kidding me.
No, I'm sorry. The starters not playing is not a 60-point difference.
I had jury duty this week, right quick. I had jury duty this week, and I got dismissed right at the end. But the judge called up people who wanted to, said they, for whatever reason, they couldn't serve. I heard more excuses in that hour that the judge asked for people than I've heard from Brian Day and Nick Saban and Keon Coleman all put together over the last 3 years. Anyway, that's it, man. Quick hour. Guys, I'm glad you guys and gals are glad you listened to us. This is the XL Sports Network College Football Drive at 5. We will be here next week again, same time, same station. You guys listen in. And stay tuned to the station here, The River. We'll be playing some great music.